Igor Bereslavski, GM of Supersonic. Thank you for having me at your studio.
Thank you for coming.
So the topic that we're going to discuss today is how to get published by Supersonic, and basically I will be extracting all the information so that I can get my hypothetical studio signed by Supersonic. But let's start off with the most important part. What does a GM do at Supersonic?
So Supersonic is the publishing solution by Unity. We started back then in 2020 as a hyper-casual publisher by Iron Source. Then we merged with Unity, and in the past 2 years we're actually focusing on more, as most of the industry, on hybrid casual games and the shift to hybrid casual games. As a GM, so I'm overseeing all the activity from game development, growth, user acquisition, and our R&D side, which is one of our, I think, unique strength.
Nice. And tell me about, so at one point, I know Supersonic was soaring, kind of almost like the second, I think, in hyper-casual publishing. First, you got to number one. And then there was no more hyper-casual, and now it's the hybrid casual. So can you just align everybody on what is a hybrid casual game?
Yeah. So I think that the definition of a hybrid casual game is a combination of mass appeal, hyper casual core gameplay together with depth and more engaged mechanics of casual games. So this is very simple, high-level definition. In Supersonic, we look on hybrid casual games not just as dual monetization, where there are several other things that we are looking to. So the first one is we're looking for a marketability, simple core gameplay that comes from hyper-casual games that can be very attractive for the user acquisition activity. The second one is the dual monetization, the IP and the ads-based monetization. We less strict with the percentage, so we don't look like, okay, if the game is 70-30 into IP or 50-50 into like between ads and IP, we more look on the ability to create a more engaged game that allow us to retain the users, to build more live ops activity, and that the user will keep involved in the game and will come back to in the game for longer time.
Yeah. So just to summarize it, basically you take the design of a hyper-casual game, you make it deeper by adding elements like progression vectors so that you're able to run live ops through, through that you can keep the users for a longer time and implement especially dual monetization model. But what you keep from hyper-casual is all your learnings in terms of marketability, and then on the production side, the same thing, making games much faster than a typical casual game or typical mid-core game or other type of game, so you can push them quicker in the market and see if they have what it takes to be scaled eventually.
Yeah, so I think this is, we understand like the gaming industry in general, we understand that the development time of a game takes much more time than in the past, and obviously all the user acquisition costs are rising year from year. And when you invest 1, 2, 3 years in a game, you take a huge risk in terms of development time and cost and everything, and then you don't know actually what to expect from the user acquisition. And this is why I think the hybrid casual genre raised in the last few years, because actually from the beginning you feel the marketability side of the game. This is what was with the hyper. So it's exactly this point why hybrid casual games are rising now.
Yeah. The importance of monetization. I want to talk about, like, from your side, because you're running this publishing organization, you ran it through the transition. Can you talk a little bit about, like, what different skill set had to be different when you moved from hyper casual, where there's hundreds of studios, you're pushing games out at a massive scale and pace. The lifetime of the game is relatively short, so it's all about volume. And now you've moved essentially from a volume business to quality business.
Yeah.
So how does the organization, how did the organization change from a publisher perspective?
So we definitely had 2 years of shift and from hyper casual to hybrid casual. I think that most of the talent that we have and people that was here for hyper casual focused on very growth. It means pure monetization and user acquisition together with very advanced data tools and platforms. So we create Supersonic platform and we create new metrics that the developer, we were very transparent. This is with the developers to show them all their gaming metrics. But we succeed probably because of the heavy lift on the user acquisition capability of Supersonic. Then in the past 2 years, we started to work on the hybrid, and we understood that we need more function of creation of game. It means that is more people that actually work on the product side. This is, I think, the big difference between hybrid and hyper. You need actually people of product who lead the product of the game. We work more on economic metrics, and we're creating a live ops operation, a whole new live ops operation that didn't exist during the hyper casual. It took us time to adjust and to bring more gaming DNA into Supersonic in this transition. And today, I think that we're more close to gaming side than to just data growth side. And this is what we did in the past, let's say, 2 years.
So if I understand correctly, before, when you were a hyper-casual publisher, essentially what happened was a studio, a small team, would put out their game for a test. You test it, it's scalable, you scale, next one. Yeah. But now, how has the role changed when you consider the role of a developer, which is the one who makes the game, and then the role of a publisher? Because before it was, game is here, scale it. And then it's a clear-cut division between the two. You have the capital, you have the tech, you have the know-how, you know how to scale, we have the creativity, we know how to build. But now, what's the divide of the work?
Yeah, so I don't think that at Supersonic we have a strict definition of what is the publisher responsibilities, what is the developer on very, very high level. So the developer is basically the creating engine of the game, the developer in charge of creating fun, simple core loop that can attract the users. The publisher side, Supersonic, so we're in charge of all the powerful growth mechanics. So it starts with adding economy to the game and using live ops tools in the game. We're working on A/B test progression and in user acquisition, creative production. So this is very high level. But we work with sometimes we have some studios that are just 2 or 3 people, and they really good in creating the core loop of the game, and that's it. And here we bring all the value of Supersonic in terms of all the package. We are guiding them in terms of marketing analysis, what works, what doesn't work. We help them to build the economy of the game. Then we are adding the layers of the monetization, the dual monetization. Then we are working with them on the live ops system, creating the creatives, the growth, and then we are growing the game. This is all the scaling basically of Supersonic. On the other hand, we do have more savvy big studios that brings more capabilities to the table, not just creating a simple core loop. For example, we published recently Screw Master with EO Games from China, which is a solid big team, and they built a great game for the local Chinese market, and came to us to help them to publish worldwide. So we adjusted. We were like, in the beginning, we were just a consultant and as a partner, just to take a game for local market and to explain how they can mass distribute it in worldwide. So we did the adjustment that needed to, in terms of the game, in terms of the design of the game that can be for more mass appeal in the worldwide. We help them with the monetization strategy and the growth and the UA. So here there's two examples. Like one is just focusing on pure on the core, creating the core gameplay, and one that comes with much more capability, but still need Supersonic as their partner to publish the game.
How does the decision making work? Because there's always two parties when you're at a publisher. There's always the developer and always the publisher. And I understand that in the beginning, of course, decision making is all on the developer side because they are making the decisions to make the game creative, and then it goes into testing and so forth. But when it goes past those phases, when a publisher really starts putting their weight in, how does it work?
So it really depends on the relationship between us and the developer, and the understanding what is the capabilities of the developer. So sometimes, if we understand that developer can bring really, as I said, like very good core gameplay, but he doesn't understand in how to build the retention and retain the users, how you build the economy in the game. So we are taking charge of that part. So basically, we're becoming the operator of the game. Yeah. So this is what we like operator in with everything, not just the UA growth. And the developer sticks to what he's doing really good, which is the core gameplay, and he's the developer of the game. But if we understand that the developer on the other side have more capabilities, and he have like design people or product people, so we're working together. We find exactly the spots where they need, like even if they have a product, so we guide them and we work together, and we create kind of a one team. So it's a one team that works on a game that includes the part of the developer and Supersonic. So here in Supersonic, we actually create a whole squad of professionals that in charge of creating the game itself. So with all the functions of economy and monetization, and the QA and everything, like a studio. So it's a studio that we build from both sides.
Interesting.
This is how we look on it.
So basically, look at it. What does it take to succeed? Then you look at what does the developer have, and then start basically filling out those holes.
Yes.
As the game moves forward.
Yeah.
Well, talking about different type of developers, like how do you find a developer, and how does a developer find you, and how do you find the developer? Where is that match made, and what are you looking for when trying to make these matches?
Yeah. So first, I think a lot of developers find us today, like because Supersonic already existed several years with several good successes in terms of games. So we are getting traction for many developers, and then we actually need to decide, like, because we're looking, compared to what we looked on hyper casual, we look much more in the quantity and the quality of the game compared to quantity, because for hybrid casual games you need more quality in terms of the creation. So if we used to work with hundreds of studios 3 years ago, today we work with dozens of studios. Sometimes we approach to a studio if we see a good background from the studio, and we want to tackle specific studios that we think that in terms of fit they can work with Supersonic, not only in terms of the professional side, because there are a lot of studios that work doing great games and great developers, but as I mentioned, we work eventually, we create one team. So it's a cultural fit, it's understand like the fit, it's not only professional fit. We need someone that can understand that he's now starting to work in a collaboration with another partner for creating this game. So this is where we try to approach to a studio, because we understand, we do the diligence, we talk to the people, we understand their tech level, we understand how fast they are going in terms of production, because it's super crucial for Supersonic and in general, I think for a publisher these days, the time to market, because you can create a great game, but you can create it in 2 years. It's not good for it's not good enough these days. We look for a shorter time, so we need high quality in terms of production, a fast developer.
So if I'm a developer, like how do I stand out from, because I bet you're getting hundreds of, if not thousands of different applicants every year. How do I stand out as a developer? I know you want to date, you want to see how fast I am, how creative I am, how willing I am to take feedback from the publisher and able to course correct based on that feedback. But how do I get through the door?
So
how do I get spotted?
Yeah, it's actually a good question. So I think that first everyone welcome to talk to us and to approach to Supersonic, and then if you approach to Supersonic, so I think that you need to bring some like core gameplay that you want with an idea, with a vision that you actually want to build a big hit. Okay, this is need to be your understanding for it, and you need to be very on the tech side. You need to be on the edge. So we look for it. So you need to present, you need to pitch basically the idea in terms of ideation. What is the idea? Why you choose it? We need to see that you have some understanding of the market, because you eventually choose a game based on something, and just because you played with your friends in the basement and you decided that it's fun and you want to create a community of 100 people that playing the game. You need to show us, and we are looking into the tech, how deep understanding, how you fast in your time to marketing, the production time, and we need to understand that the cultural fit, and cultural fit, I mean like, for example, accept failures, because it's very important during production of a game. Sometimes you fail, and you need to understand that you can get a feedback, and we need to understand that you're getting the feedback and you actually implementing these feedbacks in your production.
So oftentimes you fail, especially in this
Most of the time you fail. Most of the time you need to understand that you will fail.
Sometimes you succeed.
Exactly,
So,
yes.
Okay, but what is the stage? So you explained that you're doing these evaluations. So am I approaching Supersonic where, like, let's say I slide into your DMs. I'm like, Igor, got this game, looking real slick. I want to make $100 million a year. Me, my buddy, and our dog made this game. It's a really good core. We want to publish this with Supersonic. Is that the earliest phase, or?
It's the earliest phase, but let's say that you need to send. We'll check. Like, you need to show your, again, like, it's nice. But you need to pitch the idea. You need to send.
This is like the Steam game, and it's doing really well. We made a mobile version of it. I think this is it. I think we're going to the moon. So I'm not sure. Like, again, like in most of the cases in hybrid casual world compared to hyper, usually like 2-3 people to build a hit. It's you need to be very good at it. And like I mentioned, we work with several studios like that, but it's not a lot. Usually you need a bigger team. Like, you need few developers. You need the function that we need to do. AI bots count?
AI bots count for sure. So actually, if you are really good with that, it's actually an advantage these days.
Okay, interesting.
But you need solid studio, we prefer with some background with failure, which is great. But if you're just, this is your first idea, you never build a game, just as you said, have some, it probably will be difficult to publish a hybrid casual game. Yeah, so you need a background of some background in the industry, you need a solid team, and you need the market fit and the cultural fit for Supersonic.
Interesting. Okay, so now I understand a little bit better. So you have to be somewhat established before you start working with Supersonic. You don't have to be, world-topping charts, but you have to have some reps in you, so you know how this thing works. So you've been in the industry, so that gives you the experience to work with a larger publisher like Supersonic effectively.
Yeah.
Okay.
An advantage is if you have some background working with a publisher, because we see different, like we see developer that comes with, for example, experience that they worked with even different like not just Supersonic, different publishers on a game. They understand much better the flow. They understand much better the needs of a publisher, how you work together compared to even studios that build nice games, but never worked under publisher. So suddenly, they need to adjust, and it takes time. And sometimes this is the reason why the game actually fails.
Oh wow! So the communication between the
communication,
So that's basically when we're talking about culture, we're talking about, are you able to have the workflow that makes you able to work with somebody who gives you verbal feedback that you might even disagree with, but you still follow it because you trust that the publisher have seen enough of that, and they might be right more than you because they see hundreds of games every year.
Exactly. And to accept someone from outside, let's say, that will be involved in the production of the game.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. And when thinking about the hybrid casual market in terms of developers, are there certain areas that are hot or are coming up, like geographically? Or is it just worldwide, anywhere?
It's worldwide. Yeah, I think it's pretty similar like, to the hyper casual market, but just when we shifted to hybrid, so some of the location got stronger over others that had more like indie, like pure indie developers. So we, for example, look on the Chinese market these days, which is very, very strong for us. And we are working with several studios. Something that we had games from China during the hyper casual period, but these days like we have much more attraction for the hybrid. We still see like from world like Europe, East Europe, which were the hubs for hyper casual. They're still there for hybrid as well. But the balance between them changed.
Interesting.
So places with more mature studios rised. Places with more like indie developers, one developer went a bit down in terms of obviously in terms of the possibilities.
Interesting. Okay. And how about this? The point of like, there's so many games that are very, very similar than each other. Whether it's the sword games, which I really like, or the different puzzle games, or the different iterations of RPG games that have come out. How do you look at trends, and how do you expect the developers also look to a trend? Because they are the one who pitch you with something. You don't come to them and say, hey, here's a cool little game. I think you need to copy this. Make me 15 different iterations. They have to come with you with an idea. So the question is like, how are you, and how should developers be looking at the market to find segments of growth?
Yeah, so I think that in the past 2 years we have like several new subgenres that was created during the hybrid casual hype, right? Which is mix of few genres. Right? Like we have puzzle, but we have like the classic puzzle match 3D casual games, and we have more like hybrid casual games. So I think the developer need to understand there's two options. Or you want to be innovative, and you are taking two genres, and you want to create something new because you find that this new sub-segment, sub-genre that you want to create this game have a good attraction. So it means that you test it a bit and you see that people interested in this nice, simple core gameplay and innovative core gameplay. And then actually, in this case, you actually expanding a new sub-genre. Like we saw several examples of it in the past year. And then you bring basically players from different sub-genres and you're creating and growing a new sub-genre. I think in the past year we saw like Match 3D, right?
Yeah.
It's a good example of it. That actually they took new Match 3, right? Creating new sub-genre, and then in this sub-genre we saw more and more players coming in. But so this is the one option. The second option is if you're choosing to extend this in specific sub-genre. So for example, you want now to do a sword game, which is a very big market with many players, and if you want to stand out in this market, you need to understand that you need to do a strong market research to understand exactly what are the strengths in your game that you want to point out compared to others, because it will be very, very difficult to bring new users to this sub-genre already. It's full, like it's mature sub-genre. So you want to extend your, you want to extend some users. So here you need to be more advanced in the game, and you need to create more mechanics, and you need to understand that you retain more users, and you can actually build the like better game that exists in this subgenre. And here, actually, it's a good example for the help that you need from Supersonic or from publisher, because usually in this case you need much more capital, because you need to invest a lot on user acquisition in the beginning, a lot of creatives, and a lot in new users, because to enter as a new player into a very mature subgenre, it's much more difficult, I think, than creating something new, innovative that no one saw.
So let me dumb it down to myself. If you're first in the market with something really cool, it's fine to have a quite simplified version of the game, maybe not all the bells and whistles of the progression systems and everything, but you can be a pretty simplistic title and find a lot of success because you're the first and you're finding that new audience that is grabbing into it. And then basically when you work with a publisher, now you have to move really fast because everybody's coming behind you. They saw that you created a subgenre, now they're expanding it and they're coming in with much more robust products, which is what happens if you're second, third, fourth. You're looking at what somebody ahead of you did, learning from what their success is, learning from what they did maybe wrong, coming up with a little bit of a different value offering, whether that is a setting, a theme, an art, or a little bit of a variation to a gameplay, much more content, and so forth. So whether you're first or you're coming second, you still need to eventually push on the same thing, which is more quality, more content, better marketing, and so forth.
For sure.
Okay, but if you're coming in second, third, fourth, there is not that first stage where you can come in with a rudimentary product on an existing market, because you're just not competitive.
No chance.
But you're competitive if you're the first.
If you're first, you can, you can be very competitive.
All right, I can get that. Let's talk about the most difficult part of working with a publisher, which is the contract. Because when money comes to play, then that's, in my own experience, working with third-party studios, of course not hybrid casual, but with casual ones, that's the most challenging one, is like when the game becomes successful. It's like how does the revenue that you're seeing on Sensor Tower and your dashboards, how does that get distributed? So I just want to understand, like, how do you think about the contracts so that the relationship stays? Because if I understand correctly, you work with the same developers throughout many games, so clearly there's something done right with the contracts. Yeah,
I think let's start, like, first, one of our most important values in Supersonic from day one was transparent. I think this is something that we I don't know if it's innovative, but this is something that we brought to the table when we started our publishing business. So we're very transparent with all the developers that work with us. They can see everything in terms of financial metrics. They never just got a check in the end of the month. This is this is what you earn, and see you next month. This never was the Supersonic approach. So, and this is maybe the reason why publishers keep working with us, because they feel that they more partners than just a developer. So this is the main thing. But as a contract, as a publisher, so eventually you have obviously the developer work on the simple, like work on the game plan, build it. Then usually we take the rest and the growth activity and the live ops activity, etc. And when it comes to the revenue, so we have the revenue, then we have the usually have the user acquisition, the creative costs, etc. And then eventually you have some split usually on the profit between the publisher and the developer that you get.
And so to understand it more, so this is the profit sharing part. And there's transparency. So what do you spend your money on? What does a publisher spend their money on, and like how much will come out of it? And there's of course the growth phase where more money is being spent, the money comes in, and then there's the revenue phase or profitability phase where the marketing starts tapering off, and you're basically running live ops to your existing audience, and marketing is much smaller. But before, like during that phase, during that process, is there like if I sign, let's say, me, my friend, our bots, and a few others, we've been working before, and we sign with Supersonic because you believe in our vision, you believe in our market research of thousands of hours of Steam gameplay and our ability to execute. And now we start building it, but we're pre-revenue, and we get signed by Supersonic. Is there revenue coming in from Supersonic, or are we still bootstrapping by that phase? So
there is the studio that we chose to work with, we support in terms of developing period. It's actually a good point, because sometimes the development, again, we're still looking for, as I mentioned, like very fast time to market, but it's not fast as it was in hyper casual. So yes, definitely studios. If it's a bootstrap, like small, so usually we support. We support the studio with revenue during the development time. And then we build all the contract that both sides will be very happy with it during the development period, and then later on, and we adjust our contracts. They are different from how they looked 4 years ago, because the revenue and the profit comes much later, as you mentioned.
Yeah, of course. And regarding how many developers you have and how many get rejected, like what's the, not actually even developers, let's say prototypes. How many prototypes a year do you run through?
Thousands.
Thousands?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, like first prototype iteration. We still run a lot of prototypes iteration,
How does that work on your side? Like who plays them, and how can I stand out if you run through so many prototypes? How can my prototype stand out?
So we still look on the marketability side at the beginning, and we look on specific genres that we feel that we are good with. They are like, we are looking for on puzzle, or for example idle genre, so where we already had some successes, so we understand a bit more what we need to do to succeed with the game. So we have flow, we have a test that you can upload to Supersonic, still to Supersonic platform, and then just it goes through a flow. Most of the, like, we test a lot, but like, let's say 80% of them will fail at the first iterations test of marketability. So it's eventually the ones who keep working with us. It's not like a lot.
Yeah, and then once you fail, it's better to just pivot to something else than try to fix it, right? Just like in hyper-casual.
Yeah, so again, eventually, it's like on hybrid, we don't look only on day one retention and CPI. Yeah, we look on other metrics, but the attraction of a simple core gameplay should be at the beginning.
Got it. Well, to cap it off, like what are the most typical misconceptions then when it comes to hybrid casual publishing? Like what do people get wrong?
So first one is, as I mentioned, like not only day one retention and the ROAS day one is matter. You need to look into more deeper metrics today. I think the second one is definition of hybrid as just IP, IEA combination monetization mechanic. That's it. Okay, it's much more. It's more about the engaged of the user. You can be 95% ad-based, but it's still, if your games are engaged and you can retain the user and bring again the user through events and live ops, so it's still good. And I think that the third misconception is about the market. So we talked about a bit, but if like there are a lot of sort games, so I will create an outsourced game that will do a great game. Sometimes it's not exactly. You need to understand and to define what is your sort game will be. What will define your sort game from other sort games at the beginning, yeah? And don't count just on live ops. This is something that very important. If your basics, mechanics, and a core loop doesn't work in terms of together with monetization, don't think that the live ops that will come a bit later will save you in terms of scaling and revenue. Don't count on it, because usually when you fail on the core, you will never, usually not going to succeed or to cover it with just live ops.
Perfect. So clearly the market is moving more towards casual games, live ops. Marketability is still there, and lesser but higher quality games coming out from Supersonic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Igor, for sharing how the publisher works. This was fascinating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.